Welcome to the Reckless Paradise podcast, everyone. I am your host, Dystro, and tonight is another solo episode under my belt. Sad to say that Marissa's not on the podcast anymore. She's not going away or anything. It's just because due to the circumstances within our control, we have to do solo dolo and all that stuff. So shit happens. But this podcast is not going to go away. It's not going anywhere. Hopefully not. But with that being said, welcome to another year in review. I'm going to do something for a year in review. I might do for like 2000, maybe to like 2001, so. But this time I'm going to go like 2 years ago. I'm going to go to 2022. Now, I know that's kind of recent, which, I know that's kind of shocking, but I figured, give 2022 some benefit of the doubt, and, it was an okay year for some people, I guess. But, with that being said, let's dive right on into it. So, with that being said, with this kind of stuff, we usually go year, like month by month, just go over like all the other stuff that goes on within wrestling and all stuff. So like anything from WWE, AEW, which is probably going to be mostly the main two there. Maybe some TNA, I don't know. But with that being said, hopefully you guys will enjoy the ride. So let's start with January, day one. Wow, what a pay-per-view clusterfuck that was. So with the main event on that one, it's like it was supposed to be Big E versus Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Bobby Lashley, but then I think the main event was supposed to be Roman versus Brock, but Roman had come down with some a sickness that day, or that I guess earlier that day or something. So then Brock Lesnar had to be shoehorned into the WWE title match and all that stuff, which like lasted about 10 minutes. And Brock Lesnar defeated Big E in the middle of the ring, and Big E didn't get his one-on-one rematch with Brock Lesnar again, which is kind of sad because it's like we wanted Big E to be world champion for a little bit. He was sacrificial lamb in that match, so day one wasn't like a really good pay-per-view anyway. But on the brighter side of things, we have with NXT with New Year's Evil on January 4th. This pay per view, I remember this pay per view. I think I watched this live. This is where Braun Breaker becomes NXT champion, defeating Tommaso Ciampa in one of like the best matches of like Breaker's career at that point, and he's only going up from there too. So that whole pay per view was pretty stellar as well. You had like Carmelo Hayes unifying the North American title and the Cruiserweight title, like outstanding opener. You have like Riddle and MSK defeating Imperium and all that stuff. Even though it's like a four-match show, it still flew by, and it did not miss a beat or anything. So then going on into New Japan territory. This is New Japan territory. On the same day on January 4th, and then you have the next day with January 5th, you had Wrestle Kingdom 16, where Okada was in the main event of both nights. Because Okada defeated Shingo Takagi, my boy Takagi. He was the sacrificial lamb for Okada at that point. And then the next night, Okada defeated Will Ospreay to become to retain the World Heavyweight title. And Okada is like a match of the year contender machine. He could just take maybe like a match with a broom, and he could probably just have like a 5-star classic. Then we have like the first ever Battle of the Belts with AEW on January 8th, which had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, retain against Riho for the women's title. And then the exact same day, also the exact same day, you have Impact Hard to Kill pay per view with the Knockouts title in the main event, which I think that's a good decision because Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo was the main event, and it's like good for Mickey to have that main event spot and just to show like she still got it and all that stuff too. So I think she did pretty good in that match, and it was actually like a pretty good like hard hitting match too. Um, then you have like you have like MLW around this time too. You have GCW on the rise. You have like some New Japan stuff, but it's like I'm more so focused on like the like AEW and WWE stuff. But I will say this though, with GCW, the World on GCW on January 23rd, you have Matt Tremont and Nick Gage, the Hate Club, defeating the Briscoe brothers in an open match challenge for the tag team titles and all that stuff, which is was cool. Um, and then you have like the Royal Rumble that year, which Brock had to win. Like, of course, he had to fucking win, which was so stupid. Um, so then we're going into February, and we have Vengeance Day with Braun defeating Santos Escobar to retain the NXT title, and then you have Brock Lesnar in the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia on February 19th. He defeats like Lashley, who was the champion at the time, AJ, Theory, Riddle, and Rollins. Um, it's kind of shocking that Brock had to defeat five of the guys that could have like maybe won it or something. Because like I think they should have done Reigns and Rollins at Mania that year. Like I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not everybody's cup of tea for that year, but it was like an outstanding year for some people, especially like Rollins and Riddle. So yeah, I don't really like that pay per view very much, but we'll go over to Impact. We have No Surrender with the main event being Honor No More, which is Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, PCO, Vincent, and Ken King defeating Sabin, Willie Mack, Rhino, Rich Swann, and Steve Macklin. I heard that match was pretty good. I recommend you guys go watch that match. That was pretty good. Let's see what else is there. Not really else much for February at all, but let's go into March. And you have Impact Sacrifice, but then you have Revolution, AEW Revolution. Now, this pay per view, if I can recall, I think I saw this live as well, but it had like Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. You have Lucha Express, the Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon and the Young Bucks. You have like Orlo winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match for a TNT title shot. You have Jade Cargill squishing like Ty Conti. And then you have like the outstanding dog collar match between Punk and MJF. And then you have like the randomly thrown together six-man tag between Darby, Sammy Guevara, and Sting versus the Hardy Andrade Family Office, which was really weird. And then you have like Hangman Page defending his title over Adam Cole, which was really good. But the match of the night was the dog collar match, I would say so myself. So now we're back again on March 8th with NXT Roadblock, which had Ziggler defeating Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker for the NXT title. I really didn't think Ziggler needed the title. He could have probably just like asked for a title shot, and they would like really give it to him. But at that point in his career, like I guess he was just at that point where he's off Ziggler. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. So, and he would hold the title until Stand and Deliver, and then like the next night of Raw, like Braun gets it back. So he didn't have a very long run, but it was pretty memorable. Um, Going over to St. Patrick's Day Slam on March 16th of 2022 in San Antonio, Texas, you have the Rosa and Britt Baker rivalry coming to an end in a steel cage match, which is like one of my favorite female steel cage matches of all time. Uh, and then you have like you have like some Stardom stuff in there, and then you have and then you're going into the thick of it, like the WrestleMania season. So you have like the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Super Show. They have like Bloodsport 8 with GCW and Joey Janela's Spring Break 6 Part 1. And then you're going into like ROH with Supercard of Honor on April 1st, which had Jonathan Grissom defeating Bandito in a winner takes all match to determine the undisputed world heavyweight champion for ROH. Now, I watched this whole pay per view live, and like, if you have not watched ROH around that time, yeah, it was during the pandemic and all that stuff, yes, but it's like ROH around that time period in 2022, going in like sometimes into the pandemic era, it's like it was like some like the best television at that point. Um, you could probably say like 05, 06, 07 was their best year too. I could say wholeheartedly maybe like 2022 and 2023 was some of their best year and some of their best work too. Um, then you have like the Lone Star Shootout with New Japan. You have Impact. You have MLW. You have another GCW, and then you have like Stand and Deliver with NXT. The pre-day or midday show before WrestleMania that later on that day. Um, man, I know this is like it's kind of long to go through, so bear with me. So yeah, and then you have WrestleMania the exact same day, with like the main event being Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens in a no holds barred match, and then you also have the return of Cody Rhodes on that exact same show, which like that's like a huge shocker to me, like that Cody's been in the company for 2 years and it's been flying by right now. And look at him now, like he's gone from like facing Seth Rollins at Mania to like main eventing 2 years in a row, which is good, which is funny. It's like good for Cody. Then you have like April 3rd, the second night of WrestleMania, which I would believe night one was way more entertaining than night two, but that's everybody's opinion. Um, and then you have AEW Battle of the Belts 2 with Thunder Rosa defeating Nyla Rose. And then you have Impact with Rebellion with Josh Alexander defeating Moose, and that was on April 23rd, by the way. Sorry about that. Now going into May. Wow. May was a stacked kind of like month, I guess, if you want to call it that. Apparently, and also in WWE sense and stuff like that, you have like WrestleMania Backlash with Roman and the Usos defeating McIntyre and RK Bro in a six-man tag. I wish they could have just done all the belts on the line, but they just didn't want to do that because they didn't really want to like have that title change so soon. And then you have like in the New Japan Capital Collision. So you have in the main event Juice Robinson defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, Will Ospreay, and Jon Moxley for the U.S. title, for the IWGP U.S. Heavyweight title. That's crazy that Juice Robinson, a guy who was like a young boy at that time, like many years ago, he's like at the level now where he's main eventing some like New Japan Pro Wrestling shows and all that stuff too. Um, but it's crazy that he defeated like Tanahashi, Will Ospreay, and Moxley in the exact same sentence, which is crazy. And they have rounded off the end of the month with AEW's Double or Nothing on May 29th. Now, this is the infamous, well, it's not the infamous brawl out, but it's getting close to that point. Um, but you start you start the show off with like MJF and Wardlow, Hardy's defeating the Young Bucks, Jade and Anna Jay or Jade defeating Anna Jay. You have your 6-man tag. Adam Cole and and Britt like winning the men's and women's Owen Hart Invitational tournaments, which I mean didn't really need, so whatever. Um, then like you have Anarchy in the Arena with the JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society, defeating the Blackpool Combat Club, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Um, and it's like one of those like things where it's like the match after that like has to like cool the crowd down, and it's like it really didn't happen. Um, but then the main event was like Punk defeating Page for the world title, which I'm still kind of salty about that to this day. I know it's been like over like 2 years at this point, almost 2 years, or yeah, over 2 years at this point. But it's like I don't think he needed really that belt, but it's like one of those things where it's like he needed something to latch onto, I guess. So now we're going into the month of June with June 5th, Hell in a Cell, Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match. That match ruled. I always get that match a 5-star match. Especially with Cody with the torn pec muscle and so bruised and shit. But that always still like gives me the heebie-jeebies. Then you have with AEW with Road Rager, which is one of their weekly stuff. And then you have Slammiversary. You have Impact's answer to WrestleMania Slammiversary. It's the 18th Slammiversary in history. So you have like Mike Bailey win the Ultimate X match for the X Division title. Then you have Rosemary and Ty Valkyrie winning the Impact, winning but by DQ in for the Impact World Knockouts tag titles. And then you have a Monster Ball match with Sammy Callahan versus Moose, which was really good. Good Brothers defeating the Briscoes for the Impact World Tag Team titles. And then you have like a 10-man tag for like with the Impact Originals versus Honor No More, which was pretty good. Queen of the Mountain match for the Impact World Knockouts title. Jordan Grace, Tasha Steelz, Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, and Mia Yim. And then you have like Josh Alexander and Eric Young in the main event. It was a pretty stacked show from top to bottom too. Then you have AEW Blood and Guts. They answer to their version of War Games with like Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and the Blackpool Combat Club versus JAS. It's like the Eddie Kingston and Jericho rivalry started in Revolution. This ended it, I think, which is kind of funny. So now we're going into July. Money in the Bank, the infamous Money in the Bank, where Austin Theory was the Money in the Bank holder for that year. Didn't really win by his own merit. He was basically shoehorned in at the last minute, which is so fucking stupid. Then you have like AEW with Firefest, week 1 and 2. And then you have with ROH on July 23rd, Death Before Dishonor, the infamous FTR versus Briscoes 2 out of 3 falls match to retain the World Tag Team titles. Now, in a future Rivalries episode, I am going to be covering FTR versus the Briscoe brothers. I don't know when that will be. Maybe that will be in July. Maybe that will be in August. I really don't know. But that is coming, so be on the lookout for that. So then you have like AEW Fight for the Fallen, which was like a 2 taped show. Then you have SummerSlam in on July 30th, SummerSlam, in Music City, with Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match. Which this match, the Brock Lesnar and Reigns last man standing match in SummerSlam at SummerSlam, I think this was like the best one out of their like already like multi-year like feud at that point. I think this was like their best one. And you have like Ric Flair's last match at the end of the month. So there wasn't really anything in August to really write home about, but we're going into September now. So September 3rd, 2022. That is the infamous Clash of the Castle show where Roman defeats McIntyre, and that whole stadium was like electric that night. Um, so it was just like so electric, and the one of the matches of the night, I think, in my opinion, was Riddle versus Rollins. That that whole match and that feud was like so personal too. With Seth Rollins like calling out Riddle, like not taking care of his kids and not taking care of his wife and all that stuff, and it's like the verbal like back and forth that they had was like so good. And now we're getting to September 4th, 2022, the all infamous All Out show, and they have the brawl out at All Out between the Bucks and Kenny Omega, and versus Punk and Ace Steel, where Ace Steel allegedly bit Kenny Omega and all that stuff. It was just such a stupid situation for all the wrong reasons. Because Punk was just a drama queen, let's just say it, at backstage. He just didn't really want to like do anything, and he said, "I'm old, I'm tired." And he's like, "I'm fucking deal with fucking children." And then he had to vacate the title, and the rest is history at that point. Um, but that's like mostly what I want to talk about in September. And also, this was the year of FTR too, so they had won the IWGP tag titles, they won the ROH tag titles, they had won the what is it AEW tag titles. I had to think about it for a second. But this leads us to Royal Quest 2 in October. October 1st to be exact, FTR versus Aussie Open to retain the IWGP Tag Team titles, which is like another match in FTR's belt as tag team wrestlers. And then you have on the next day, on October 2nd, with Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr., which is like freaking amazing. And then you have, October 7th on Battle for Glory, you have Josh Alexander defeating Eddie Edwards to retain the Impact World Title. Bound for Glory every year is usually like a good show. It's always been good. I just don't know why like a lot of people give it the shit that it does. But with that being said, like it has like the opener with like the X Division titles. You have like the Knockouts Women's Tag titles. Um, it's like you have like your gauntlet matches and all that stuff. So I mean, it was a good show. And now we move on to October 8th, Extreme Rules, which is crazy because it's usually in July or the month after WrestleMania, but whatever. This was the returning of Bray Wyatt. Now, if you know long enough, if you've known us long enough, we've always had like a huge like love for Bray Wyatt. And it was so cool to like just see him like coming back and all that stuff. And he wasn't like really much on TV after that point. Like he only had like one match with LA Knight, and then it was just like he was just gone. Um, I always send best wishes. Well, we both send best wishes to the Wyatt family, the Rotunda family, especially his brother Bo Dallas, his sister, everybody, Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham, everybody. It was just such a shitty situation. Like it was a heartbreaking situation to go through. But with that being said, like we must go on, we must live on. This was a six-match show. The Extreme Rules from 2022 was a six-match show, which is crazy because it didn't feel like it. It started off with like six man good old fashioned Donnybrook match, which was like a lot of fun. The strap match between Cross and Drew McIntyre was okay. Um, the I Quit match between Balor and Edge though was like fucking crazy because the concerto on Beth from Rhea was like just it looked like she just killed her. And then the Riddle versus Rollins fight pit match was really 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 good too. Um, then you have Halloween Havoc later on in the year, later on in the month. You have like Ron Ricker defeating Dragunov and JD McDonough, and then you have New Japan with on the 27th with Rumble on 44th Street, which is kind of odd to do like some like shows around that time period, but we live on. So now we're going into November. November 5th, which is Crown Jewel, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. I will say this, though, like, Logan Paul definitely showed out in that match. Nobody expected him to win, but, like, he showed that he can hang with the big time and all that stuff, and he definitely showed it. Then you have the MWA with Hard Times 3, which has the reign of Tyrus, and which we don't want to really talk about here. Then you have AEW Full Gear, which started the infamous 1 year long reign of Maxwell Jacob Friedman, which I'm so super excited that he's back in AEW right now. By the time this comes out, and he defeated John Moxley for it. Like that's crazy that your match for the first match you get for the world title, it's like you're winning over John Moxley, which is crazy to think about. And then we're rounding off the month with Survivor Series. Now, this is not your typical Survivor Series. Like it's not 5-on-5 or whatever. It's got the War Games element in it. Now, if you know me and you probably don't know a lot about me, but if you know me well enough, like Marissa has, I love the War Games matchup. Now it's like it's had a lot of exceptions over the years. It's changed a lot of rules over the years, but this one is just straight up 5-on-5. Like it was Team Bloodline versus Team Brawling Brutes, and these 5 or 10 individuals were like at each other's throats for like the longest time. Um, Especially with the Sammy joining the Bloodline later earlier in the year, and then you have Solo Sikoa at Clash at the Castle, helping Roman defeat Drew and all that stuff. Um, so this was the first pay per view to have the War Games matchup, but instead of doing your typical like Survivor Series style, you have you have your women's war games and you have your men's war games. So the women's one was Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia and Becky Lynch, who was just returning to take on Team Damage Control, which was Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. Now, that match on paper was really good. It was really, really good. And then the match after that, had to like trying to cool the crowd down a little bit. I would say if you took off the Ronda Rousey and Shotzi match and like just put it on SmackDown or something, it would have been fine. But the triple threat match between Theory, Rollins, and Lashley was pretty good too. It was really decent. But the men's War Games was like really, really stellar because it's like this is I think Butch's third or fourth time in the cage, and this was Kevin Owens' first time or second time in the War Games structure. Everybody else had no experience in this at all, so it was good to like just see like what they could do, and it was actually pretty astounding. It was really solid. So now we're heading into the month of December, the end of the year. So now we're going into ROH's Final Battle 2022. This one was a really tough one. To like I guess get through, I guess sometimes. But the saving grace for this show was the dog collar match between Briscoes and FTR. If that match was not on that pay per view, I think it would have like tanked a little bit, in my opinion. But everything else was like it was fine. Like Yuta and Garcia for the pure championship was really good. Swerve Around Glory defeated Shane Taylor Promotions. You have Athena defeating Mercedes Martinez, and she kickstarts her year like plus run as ROH World Women's Champion and all that stuff. Um, and then you have Claudio Castagnoli defeating Chris Jericho for the ROH World Title. You have Samoa Joe defeating Juice Robinson for the ROH World Television Title. But like I said, the saving grace. I wish it would went on last. But the saving grace for this pay per view was Briscoes versus FTR, and I will say that wholeheartedly. I think it would. I think it should have main evented that pay per view. So that about does it for the shows wise, for the year. But I'm gonna go into retirements because there was a lot of debuts that I don't not I so that I do not know a lot. Like there was a lot of NXT names. There was a lot of NJPW names that I don't really know. So if it goes on later, maybe into earlier into 99 or 98 or something like that, maybe. But for right now, it's just not that time. But I will go into retirements now. So Triple H retired that year, which is crazy because he's doing the best stuff now. He's a huge creative head. He's doing he's taking the ball and running with it, which is good. Vince McMahon retired that year. Retired that year. Thank fucking Christ he did. Ric Flair, that's like we will never know when he will come out of retirement at this point, because he's super old, and I wish he would just stay retired. A shocking one to me was Aiden English. He retired in 2022, and he's a commentator for Impact Wrestling right now, which is good for him. He's still got a job. He's still going. And Ricky Steamboat, he retired in 2022, which is crazy to think about that he was still wrestling around this time, around that time frame. And the last notable one was Jamie Noble, who had wrestled in 2022. And I think it was a live show, which was crazy. But now we must sadly go on to the deaths portion of the episode. I'm gonna try to bring it up around the end, but just please bear with me. One of the most notable ones is Scott Hall. He passed away on March 14th of that year. He will be sorely missed. He was the one influence that I had to really start watching more wrestling. You could probably say that about a lot of people. Randy Orton influenced me, John Cena influenced me, Edge, whatever. But Scott Hall was the first person that I saw wrestle, and he was the first person that I saw interact with Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. Dave Hebner, the brother of Earl Hebner. I'm sad that he had passed too. He was a really good referee. And then 2 days later, it was Tim White who had passed away, which is fucking crazy. Two great referees, passing away within 2 days of each other. This is crazy. Another one, the infamous Japanese legend Antonio Inoki, who will literally beat the crap out of you. I've seen some clips of him, being the nonsense out of some people. Another one that was kind of young was Sarah Lee. Sarah Lee God rest her soul. She was the female winner for the sixth season of Tough Enough. Which that's crazy that she was only 30 when she had passed. She had died by suicide with combined drug intoxication, and she was married to Wesley Blake, and she had three kids of her own, which is crazy that like she was leaving that all behind. Um, I send my condolences to Wesley Blake and her kids. Send my condolences. Well, we all send our condolences to Wesley Blake and her kids and her family. There's always help out there. Just please reach out and touch somebody. Like, please reach out and like talk to somebody about this stuff. It's like there's a lot of people going through what you're going through too. Just find help. You know, but all in all, 2022 is a very, very rock and roll, really rocky road for some people. Majority of it was the WWE marks and AEW marks, but the ROH people were coming back. It was like around the time, this is like after their hiatus in 2021, because they were just repackaging, rebooting, with all brand new titles, brand new champions, and all that stuff. So it was a hard reset for some people because they were coming out of the doldrums of the pandemic and all that stuff. And it was a weird and really refreshing time for some people, I guess. But that is it for the year in review for 2022. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What was your favorite year, and what was your favorite month? I guess what was your favorite match from that year? My favorite matches, I guess, was the trilogy between FTR and the Briscoes. They always brought out the best in each other in very grueling and bloody matches. Because I guess I'm just bloodthirsty, like everybody in Chicago is, I guess. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening to tonight's episode. Now, I do have the song of the night, and I am going to look that up right now. So this is coming from a rapper and one of my all-time favorite fast rappers of all time is Brother Tech Nine. This is not and this is this is from eons ago, but it's it's one of the most popular songs because it has it's got not one but not two but three rappers on it, but it also has The Rock on it, and I mean what I'm talking about. It's Face Off. I still listen to that song to this day. Um, it's very fast paced, and I like that. But then when The Rock comes in, it's it just brings it all up, all upside down and all that stuff. So that is my song of the night. There is a music video for it. I will have the link in the top right hand corner, or Marissa will, because she does that for me sometimes. And at the time of this recording, hopefully I will have 1400 by this point. I don't know if I will be at 1500 by then. I really don't know, or 1450. I don't care. So, but if that is by this point, that is awesome. But if not, it's all right. I will still be proud that I got 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. But thank you guys so much for watching, and Marissa will see you this Sunday with her episode. So, peace!